Hello everyone and welcome. Today we will be going over the top 10 most notorious serial killers of all time. Number 1. Albert Fish, known as the Brooklyn Vampire. He was active in the early 1900s. He was prosecuted on the charges of rape, murder, and cannibalism. He ate 3 kids and claimed to have murdered at least 100 others, most famous for sending a letter to one of the mothers of his victims, detailing the whole process of the murder, including eating her daughter and the whole kidnapping. Albert later died on January 16, 1936, at a correctional facility in New York. Number 2. Jack the Ripper. He is notoriously known for the fact that his identity has never been revealed. The kill style he used was cutting their throat, mutilating their abdominals, and removing some of their internal organs. People speculate that he had some type of surgical background due to the way the bodies of the victims were found. His death is still unknown because nobody has ever found the true identity of Jack the Ripper. Number 3. Pedro Alonso Lopez, known as the Monster of the Andes. He claims to have raped and killed over 350 innocent women while being on a killing spree in South America. Over 50 of his victims were no older than 12 years of age. He was eventually caught in 1980 and confessed to all of his crimes he has committed. They found him guilty of raping and murdering 110 women. They declared him as insane and was actually released from prison in 1998 based on good behavior. People were enraged at the fact that he was released for quote-unquote good behavior, even though he raped and murdered women. At the time of this recording, after doing research, it appears he's still alive at the age of 72 and remains a free man. Number 4. Harold Shipman, known as Dr. Death, was a British doctor. He has one of the highest number of victims ever recorded. The doctor was very busy doing his practices between the years of 1972 and 1998. During that span, he murdered around 250 of his patients, and then signed the death certificate saying the incidents were natural causes. His motives were unclear. Shipman's murders raised troubling questions about the powers and responsibilities of the medical community in Britain, and about the fairness of procedures for certifying sudden death. He was said to be a bright child. He became interested in medicine as he watched his mother receive morphine injections to ease the pain she suffered while dying of lung cancer. He eventually died by suicide, hanging himself in his cell one day before his birthday. Number 5. Richard Ramirez, known as the Night Stalker, was notorious for breaking into people's homes in Los Angeles and murdering them with a variety of weapons that included handguns, knives, and even tire iron. One of his first victims was a 9-year-old girl who Ramirez raped, beat, and murdered. Ramirez grew up in El Paso, Texas, the youngest of 5 children born to Mexican immigrants. According to reports, when he was 12 years old, a cousin who was a Vietnam War veteran showed him pictures of a Vietnamese girl he had allegedly raped, tortured, and killed. The following year, Ramirez was a witness to his cousin's fatal shooting of his wife. In June 1984, Ramirez committed his first known murder, raping and stabbing a 79-year-old widow. He then apparently waited around 8 months before resuming his killings. Most of the deaths occurred in Los Angeles and took place during home invasions. Ramirez's victims, some of whom survived, were often sexually assaulted and beaten, and satanic symbols were found at many of the crime scenes. A fingerprint was discovered that led to Ramirez's identification. On August 30th, 1985, 6 days after his last known murder, Ramirez's name and photograph were released to the public, and the following day a man in East Los Angeles saw him and notified the police. A chase started, and as Ramirez tried to steal a car, he was surrounded by a crowd and beaten until the police arrived. He died June 7th, 2013 in California. Number 6. Ted Bundy, known as one of the most popular serial killers of all time. Bundy had a difficult childhood. He had a strained relationship with his stepfather. His shyness made him a frequent target for bullying. Later, his intelligence and social skills enabled him to enjoy a successful college career, and he developed a series of apparently normal emotional relationships with women. Despite this apparent stability, he sexually assaulted and killed several women in Washington, Oregon, Colorado, Utah, and Florida between 1974 and 1978. Although he would ultimately confess to 28 murders, some estimated that he was responsible for hundreds of deaths. Following a well-publicized trial, he was sentenced to death in 1979 for the murder of 2 college students. In the following year, he was again sentenced to death, this time for the rape and murder of a 12-year-old girl. Bundy was executed in Florida's electric chair in 1989. Strange enough, Bundy has become somewhat of a celebrity, escaping from custody in Colorado in 1977. During his trial, his charm and intelligence drew significant public attention. Number 7. Bella Gunnis, known as the Lady Bluebeard, was a daughter of a stonemason. Gunnis immigrated to the United States in 1881 in search of wealth. What followed was a series of insurance frauds and crimes, escalating in size and danger. Not long after Gunnis married a man named Albert in 1884, their store and home mysteriously burned down. The couple claimed the insurance money for both. Soon after, Albert died of heart failure on the one day his 2 life insurance policies overlapped. Though her husband's family demanded an inquiry, no charges were filed. It is believed the couple proceeded 2 children whom Gunnis poisoned for the insurance money. There were several unexplained deaths that followed. It's reported that she murdered more than 40 people between 1884 and 1908. She was reported to have died in a fire in 1908, but there's a popular theory that she faked her death. Number 8. Ed Gein, famous for skinning human corpses and making things out of the body parts, such as belts, chairs, and lamps. Gein had a rough childhood. His father was an alcoholic, and his mother was verbally abusive towards him. He still idolized his mother. It's also said Henry, his older brother, died mysteriously in a fire near the family's farm. He was an inspiration for many of the classic horror movies such as Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Police discovered numerous corpses at his property, as well as trophies he made from their bones and skin. Gein confessed to killing 2 women and was later declared insane, eventually dying at a mental health institute. He is believed to have killed 31 people. Number 9. Gary Ridgway, known as the Green River Killer. He would throw his victims in the Green River, giving him his notorious name. His father was a bus driver and his mother was a sales clerk. The younger Ridgway later claimed that his mother engaged in inappropriate behavior. He alleged that after wetting the bed, a habit that carried on into his early teens, she would wash his genitals. At some point, he began fantasizing about killing her. In 30 years, he was married 3 times and had a son. He was arrested in 2001 and he eventually admitted to murdering at least 70 women during the 1980s and the 1990s. Because he provided the authorities with details of the murders and the locations of their bodies, he avoided the death penalty, but was convicted of 49 murders and got life imprisonment. As of the day of this recording, he is still alive, serving a life sentence at the age of 72 years old. Number 10. Tommy Lynn Sells, known as the Cross Country Killer. He was convicted of several brutal murders between the years of 1985 and 1999. He stabbed a 13-year-old girl 16 times. He was arrested after he broke into a room of a 10-year-old girl, stabbed her, and left her to die. Amazingly, the girl survived and asked her neighbors for help, eventually helping catch this horrible man. He was sentenced to death on April 3, 2014, at the age of 49. He was executed by lethal injection. He is said to have murdered 70-plus victims. Thank you everyone for watching. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Let me know down in the comment section if you would like a part 2.